so far. They'll need to continue that streak here as we'll get ourselves into Champion Select. ISG over on the blue. We'll start by banning Jace.
Yeah, absolutely. And just throwback to the first time these teams played, it was a big carry performance coming out of Zeros that was able to secure the victory for the Fongvu Buffalo. He was playing Silas. That's another champion that I would like to see get removed off the table, because just rotating around the map, he kind of ignored Bugax in the top lane and just destroyed the rest of Issa's game.
Yeah, you don't want to give talented players a champion like Silas, who can be so aggressive and creative. Rek'Sai, though, the first ban for PVB, followed by Karthus, so targeting some jungle picks here for Oddie. But also, as you kind of asked for, there is the Silas ban as well.
Yeah, and I think Karthus is just, you know, the Group A special right now, because the bloodiness in this group is so incredibly high. So getting rid of the snowball potential from Karthus, who's already such a terrifying mid to late game jungler, not to mention the fact that his clear speed's still up there, and Oddie as well as Kirei, two of the better Karthus players in the play-in stage, just makes it such a smart ban for a couple of these teams. Would like to see them potentially go towards Slow's champion pool, I was going to say, because he's the other member, I think, on something like the Tahm Kench that has been able to perform, but instead they just get rid of the Hecarim, continue to try and knock it down onto Oddie's champion pool.
Also see Aurelia banned away. Saya played that in the last game to great success, but Galio has been so popular all group stage long, and that will be the first pick overall.
Yeah, absolutely, and we continue to see Galio with his 100% presence, more picks than bans, but has just been such a safe blind for these teams, and adds that 1-3-1 global presence, as well as an incredibly potent laning phase with legitimate kill potential on multiple lanes. I really like where Galio is at the moment, and you know, we already talked about Slow's potency in this composition. Think that that adds more to, you know, the Warangular Slow going up against Pete, Goro, and Pallet.
We've certainly seen a pretty wide array of different solo lanes already from Fongvu Buffalo, but keeping it standard with the first pick, they'll just take Jarvan, presumably for Meliodas, but they do have some flexibility. And there is Varus, Big Koro, who's, again, as you mentioned, kind of surprisingly shown up on day one.
Yeah, and that's an interesting pickup. I was going to say the interesting thing that you can do now, right, is you either mirror the 80 carry jungle pickups that PVB's gone for, which means that you are sacrificing some strength in your solo laners, because all of a sudden they can start to be banned away, especially in the flex picks. But if you don't do that, then you have to be so comfortable in Warangulis' champion pool. I was going to say Oddie is a veteran, might just bite the bullet and drop himself in priority, but going for the lead fit certainly is not the case. And Akali, once again, seeing a lock, and this is a champion that I think has only missed out on one game, and in the game that we did see her play by Bugax, looked incredibly potent.
Yep, certainly a good performance there, so perhaps looking to repeat it, or of course Sarah can take that as the flex as well. I think also with Oddie eating effectively 4 bans with 3 plus the pick away of the Jarvan, maybe just wanted to secure Lee Sin. Now, that does however give Kennen over to Fongvu Buffalo, likely there for the top lane.
Yeah, and I really like this for Zeros, because he's certainly able to play pretty far up in the lane, but I think that the understated bit for me is how much map impact he has before team fights, and Kennen is another one of those champions. Great team, great pushing pressure in the top lane, but then great teleport usage, great roam into mid lane can be available for this champion. Not to mention if teamed up with Meliodas' Jarvan, just a very potent gank squad. So I think they're continuing the trend of what gave them success on day number 1, that, you know, very strong early game side of the map and allowing Big Koro and Pallet to do their job in the team fights.
Well, as you mentioned, we expected Orangulus to lose some picks, so Kai'Sa will be the second ban, or the next ban here for PVB in phase 2, and normal loser champion LeBlanc getting taken away there.
Yeah, I'd also like to potentially see the Ryze get hit. Both of these champions have historically done pretty well into the Akali matchup. Just anything that is able to kind of keep her at arm's length while she's going for the auto weave with the passive, where so much of the power of Akali is currently hidden, and this has to have been seen a mile away from the Issaris gaming lineup. I don't think it's any surprise to see a Kai'Sa as well as Kalista get taken away. They want to be able to play pretty stand in the bottom lane, I feel like Fongvu. They would be confident if Big Koro and Pallet come out of the laning phase with even or ahead, that they will get more done around the map in that skirmish phase.
Actually, Tahm Kench going to be the pivot, so Ryze will be left open at least for the time being, as Pallet will lose a support for their 2v2.
And this makes a lot of sense to me, because, you know, you can't hit 80 carry, but you can take away the best support that pairs up with something like Varus and make him susceptible to Oddie's gank. You know, if you're going to get rid of all the 80 carries on the side of Fongvu Buffalo, you know, put some pressure on the bottom lane, you do have to be able to protect them in the draft phase, and especially if this is what they were going to go towards, picking the Ryze up for themselves, you know, don't want to ban away your own champion pool. So I think that's a really nice draft adaptation.
I mean, could have been a pick here, but kind of tricky with the selections already. There is the Ryze picked up for Issaris, Braum also the obvious one, and Tristana pretty quickly locked in.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously a second tier 80 carry there, but something that's very comfortable for Warangulis. Always was going to probably be a Braum pick out of that pick ban phase, because you don't take, when you're on red side, you don't want to give up both solo laners before you see theirs. Like, kind of the ultimate trump card is that last pick solo for the ultimate counter and to round out your composition. So, that's once again, I've been impressed by Isurus Gaming. I'm really impressed with their kind of mentality and the experience they bring. And even though they had the disastrous 0-3 start, the ability to now fight back into this group is available to them. If they knock off Fengvu here, does really mean that anything can happen in terms of results.
Yeah, again, they kind of need to win out, I think, to have the best shot at finishing there and getting some of those tie breaks on the board for themselves. But hey, I mean, yes, PVB, I think, still the favorites in the group after one day of play, but got to start somewhere, and that's going to be this pretty good draft, as last pick is Zoe, actually, for Null, who already used that pick to great effect against the Paul Bombers.
Yeah, and this exact combo, I think, was a combo they used against the Bombers, the Jarvan as well as the Zoe, and being able to open up the River Highway. And that's what I was going to say. For Fengvu, it's not just the fact they're 3-1, it's how they won their games. Like, they won their games in emphatic fashion and did look to be at multiple stages of the game, not only the better, skill checking, like high micro opponents, but actually have a fairly good idea how to close out, which has been kind of the struggle of Fenerbahce and Bombers. So would like to see Isurus Gaming try and challenge them in that early game and really ask the ultimate question, which, Bombers weren't able to do. And, looking on the flip side of this combo, you're playing with an Akali Lee Sin, so you can fight the 2v2 if you want to, and certainly not something I'm used to seeing Seiya play. Historically has been much more of a control mage player, but does bring that level of pretty good skill when it comes to these finesse champions.
One of the nice things about solo lanes right now, you do have so many different options, whether it's assassins, whether it's control mages, even tanks, I'm sure can be played in some of these areas. We've seen some Nautilus mid, although albeit not really a tank in that situation.
Yeah, so I want to check out a couple of things. So they're playing Rise into the cannon. That's a really good matchup for Bugax. You're going to notice that he's gone with the phase rush for the trading patterns. Zeros still going with Kleptomancy. You can get some good farm going early game before those points into a Rise's Q come through. But the important one is Seiya's gone Electrocute. This means he's looking for that kill potential. Has the cleanse up and available, so if he tanks a bubble, he can still go for the executes. And I think a lot of this map is going to be heavily dictated around who gets priority mid lane, and whether it's going to be, Null pegging bubbles at Seiya underneath the turret, or whether it's going to be Seiya opening up the map and being able to rotate around.
And as always, when we look to early game situations, we have to look at junglers. Lee Sin versus Jarvan, certainly more of a throwback jungle matchup, but we have seen these champions already. There's actually an early sweeper here from the Fengvu Buffalo. Will take down that ward next to the Pixel Brush. So that's Melee there, starting with the early sweeper, gets the CS, and most importantly, denies that vision.
Yeah, a little bit surprised it didn't go over to Null, because I still believe if you get the first little bit of experience off the ward, then you can pick up level 2 on wave number 1. So would have liked to see that one given over. But in saying that, denial of vision level 1, creating any form of, if we can start in 3 lanes and solo out of camp and create doubt of where Meliodas is, kind of becomes a nightmare for Oddie. To find the jungler of Fengvu before damage can be done. And
again, as I was talking about junglers, as far as influencing the early game, I think we have to look at both supports for these teams as well. Slow has looked pretty good despite the rough start here for Isurus, and Pala has kind of been the other surprise alongside his lane mate, Big Koro, so maybe expecting some roams, or maybe just some attention in the bottom lane as well.
Yeah, and I really like the champion pool of the supports at the moment, more towards the things like the Braum, Tarn, Kench, and Galio, as opposed to the flashy engages we have seen one game at a time, but things like Alistar kind of fall away, and that is when support becomes a little bit harder to spot what they're actually achieving on Summoner's Rift, but we've seen some great flanks coming out of Pallet on the Galio, and Slow also having some critical saves for his AD carry. Certainly some of the unsung heroes of Summoner's Rift pastry.
Often as level 2 pretty early here for Isurus, but looks like Big Koro and Pallet just going to play safe and get these last few creeps and not feel too miffed about it. That does give some room here in the bot side. Melee trying to finish the crab, is forced to smite it. Oddie was going to steal it with that Q.
And I like that from Meliodas, because able to do double clear into bottom crab guarantees himself the level 3, also double scuttles, and this is just more of what we were talking about, opening up the river, making sure that you have burst rotate everywhere. Mid lane priority, so key, push the scuttle crab back towards mid lane, so even bottom lane rotating up isn't really going to affect anything there. Even though top and bottom lane looks to be pushing into Fengvu, the fact that Null will always be able to leave his lane first does create a pressure point for Meliodas to be able to play around.
Well, so you check in here in the top lane. As you mentioned, Klepto there for Zeros, trying to get some value, but for now, it seems like they're staying pretty even as far as that farm goes.
And this is kind of what you want as Rise. Really is first shop coming in when you get access to the full mana pool that you're going to be able to look to bully. Range-wise, this is a very good matchup for Rise, being able to empower, root him out of his ultimate and things like that. Very easy transition into things like Merc Treads with a Phase Rush means that very low kill threat going to be coming across. And that's kind of where Meliodas must be the trump card, you know, being able to lock down the highly, you know, mobile in terms of just running way of the Rise and try and swing that matchup so Zeros can free himself up and get around the map and have better team fight impact.
Looks like Slow just hanging out in this brush here in bot lane for now, but I think Orangulus just trying to safely trim the wave. Division has been dropping a little bit, although they do still have that ward. And as you said, Spawn, Meliodas already up towards the top side, going to sneak into this brush.
He's just doing a really good job right now, Pastry Time, of protecting his lane. Because you have a look what's happened. Zeros has the wave frozen just off turret. We'll be looking for probably a first shop here, so he's just shadowing up into Fog of War, making sure if there is any gank, they're going to have bigger creep wave as well as counter gank potential. Oddie could have been up here, and they'll just recall together. That's just, you know, effective use of his time as his jungle is just starting to recall, and it's kind of the small things that are netting Fongfu the advantages right now.
And all those little advantages can add up. A reminder that the stakes here for Isserus are very high. They will be eliminated from the knockout stage of Play-In if they lose. That, of course, will hold true for this game and their subsequent ones, but I mean, it's just one of those situations where a team with a lot of experienced players, a lot of veterancy, if you can just dig deep and play one game at a time, that's all you need to at least maybe force a tie for yourself.
And once again, Meliodas has been able to spot out exactly where Oddie is on the map, ensuring that his lanes can play freely. See whether, once again, mid lane priority unlocks another Scuttle Crab towards him, because bottom is rotating up for potentially a fight here.
Oh, Oddie actually got that as well, and now they're going to go in onto Meliodas. North here, but the flash already out for the Jarvan. Oddie is going to follow. There's the flag and drag out. Now North forced a real flash away, but he does get the sleep down. The bottom lane rotates in, and that's Big Cora with the first blood, as the next blood is going to come in pretty swiftly as Slow does get slow, but Big Cora over the wall instantly as Fongfu Buffalo spring to life for the double kill.
And Noel, the MVP of that fight, dodging out of every damage, landing crucial bubbles. Warangulus potentially under some fire here. Will just hop away. But once again, that mid-jungle duo for Fongfu just coming out trumps.
And that's the thing, we kind of thought that Noel maybe wouldn't get too many more looks at Zoe after the first performance he had. As far as, you know, pairing together with your jungler, Zoe is one of the best champions in skirmishes and kind of making them pay with that early double kill for Big Cora, who once again is a recipient of some early gold.
Yeah, exactly right. And that was kind of the one lane where you could see Warangulus and Slow continually had push pressure using the Galio. So they get first rotate here. And it looks like Meliodas has made a mistake. Will get the Slow, will get the full satchel explosion. But this play here, where just full paddle start into the sleep, picks up first blood for the 80 carry, and Seiya has just had no priority in his lane, no gank availability as of yet, which means that when he's rotating to the fight, he's a level 5 without ultimate and with no health pool available to him. So effectively they're fighting the 4v3. Quicker rotation could have been the key for Isserus Gaming, but Fongfu play it very well.
Yeah, priority just was not there, and Seiya, he will get the lane pushed up. He has gone back and finished up that Hextech Revolver as that first key item, but still looking for that level 6, although he is actually ticked over right now.
Yeah, and pretty interesting choice of itemization there, Pastry Time. Obviously not going to be able to afford the Cutlass, but when you go Electrocute as well as not Cutlass first, your sustain options are very limited. Remember, the change to Akali that kind of brought her back into line is you no longer heal off your Q, which means that until the Gunblade is built up, he's going to struggle against a heavy poke lane in the Zoe. If the all-in doesn't go his way, this lane could get very ugly very quickly.
Yep, still has his cleanse and flash ready. Noel did use his summoners in the last exchange that netted the double kill there, but we'll see if he can kind of get out of the lane right now, finally starting to get some push pressure as Oddie also will make his way down to this lane.
Yeah, no level 6 available yet for Big Cora or Pallet, so still have the window to be able to make the play, but I think Warangulus and Slow kind of give that one away. They're playing very far up a lane, in which they're 2 kills down now, not kind of taking a backward step. And this is just giving Meliodas, once again, a lot of time. He's got full control of topside river.
Ward spots in, but there's the door up. Stun almost going to connect. I mean, Pal's got 2 stumps. He's not afraid there.
Yeah, that was really telegraphed. And now it's going to mean Bugax is under fire.
Zeros though going to go in. Cataclysm going to follow in for the dunk. Bugax forced to flash away, but the last shuriken, not quite enough it is. With the challenging smite, it's Melly that grabs the kill.
Yeah, it certainly is. Meliodas right now is just putting on a jungling clinic over Oddie. Everywhere he goes, he finds success. perfect weak side play coming out of Big Coral and Pallet as well. And this was one of the lanes that they needed to set up for success. When Bugax plays well, when he's not that liability for this team, they have been able to win games. But, you know, already Oddie spotted bottom side. We said the lockdown is going to be crucial. Aptly pointed out, red buff plus challenging smite, enough damage over time to be able to pick up that kill.
And if there's a player that this team loves to get ahead, it is this guy. Xerath has been smashing people.
Meanwhile, Oddie bottom lane.
The wraparound kick, flash into the kick. There's the taunt as well from So Big Coral. The target. A great glacial fissure though from Pallet. Might buy a little bit more time to heal. Gonna keep alive for just a few precious seconds longer. Trish grabs the shutdown, but it's a trade as Xerath able to grab the next kill. Now concussive blows. Looking to proc there as Melee does get the kill on the top of the screen. Slow, maybe in danger of getting towered over there, but Slow is going to live, needs one more auto. That's Melee going to try and finish it off. A Dragon Strike snipe, and there's a double kill for the jungler.
And the Goon Squad just shows up. You think you have the right play, you know, 3v2. They live long enough. They dish out so much damage. And the fact that Zeros kept his teleport all throughout laning phase and was able to make that play just speaks volume to how heavily Fongbu is winning this map.
That first kill finally on the board for Isurus, and maybe some plate gold here for Bugax as well, but 3,000 gold down already as Big Coral going to translate up towards the top half of the map and maybe get some plates of his own.
And this is something I love to see happening. When you complete support item pre-10 minutes, being able to flip into a potential topside control and Rift Herald unlocks the plate damage. Getting back to the last replay, however, this looks like it's a good game for Oddie. Really nice setup into the knockup for the kick, but once again, Pallet saving his AD carry, buying enough crucial time for Zeros to complete the teleports. Meliodas once again on the correct side of Summoner's Rift. They'll clean up all 3 kills and generate such an advantage for their bottom lane.
I think can't stop praising the jungler as this dive just worked out at the end with a well-placed Q here from the Jarvan, but as you said it, I mean, mark of a good jungler is being in the right place at the right time, and can often feel like they're just getting lucky, but it is never a coincidence when a jungler is playing on form.
Yeah, well, it seems to be this combo in particular, you know, the Zoe early shove into Meliodas being able to have free reign up and down river to just take the shortest way through Summoner's Rift, and once again, going to look for it here. No, we'll just back away. And it's interesting that Big Coral only caught 1 creep wave top lane pastry time, so it wasn't the full flip coming in, potentially valuing an early Mountain Dragon, but once again, would like to see with the amount of control they've generated, a little bit of priority placed over the Rift Herald. Breaking open mid lane turret, being able to go into your 1-3-1 nice and early would be pretty crucial for Fongbu here, who have already got themselves a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good with a Jarvan that's snowballing up ahead in a Zoe, so they are going to get the Mountain as first things are first. That's a pretty easy take with no real chance to challenge. Xerath now back to the mid lane. Looking for the stun. Lands it onto Saya. The cleanse will be forced out, but that's ulti as well for Saya.
Yeah, ulti cleanse, which means that the kill threat around mid lane is now non-existent. They bring everyone up into this lane as well, just continually picking on Oddie's side of the jungle. And you can see Zeros, after that early kill goes across, willing to use his resources in bottom lane with a teleport. Second ultimate comes into the mid lane. This is a guy that just plays heavily for the team. Sure, he's skilled in the 1v1 matchup, but knows that that isn't always the key to winning the game.
And not even behind in CS, actually goes back up and is even as the dust settles there in top lane. So certainly a player with both the mechanical skill and the intelligence to really make it work here.
And I want to take just a trip around kind of the bottom side of Oddie's jungle, because red buff's about to come up, and you can see right now that just all of that vision that they've been able to generate down there in the bottom side of the jungle means that he's really playing on top of information at every step of the game. The only way that they're going to really be able to come back in is if Oddie's able to generate some form of control for Saya to impact side lanes, in my opinion. And the fact that Lee Sin just, every time he goes into bottom side of that jungle, they know where he is. Saya, however, caught out Meliodas here.
Oh, there's mid lane going to meet the jungle. There's the Galio coming in. That's going to force a flash out of the Jarvan. And on to Bugax they will go. Melee, though, trapped out of the way. Flags and drags to safety, however. But that may give the Rift Herald over to Isurus.
Yeah, and that's a really nice early game rotation. However, Bubble does land, and you can see already Big Coral and Pallet have made their way into mid lane. The fact that Isurus Gaming now have to exit through top means that either they can siege up mid or just look to match one more time.
For now, it does seem like mid is going to be the target. Zeros, though, making sure to catch those waves. You can see Big Coral and Nor teaming together, going to grab some plates and deal significant damage to this tower.
He just can't approach the creep wave, you know, with ultimate available for Big Coral, as well as the bubbles that are going to come out of Nor, and no access to that cleanse. Like, one piece of CC lands, he just dies. So mid lane turret probably going to fall down right now for Fongbu. And we already mentioned how crucial this could be to opening up the map. Oddie even coming to try and defend this one. Maybe they look for the fight.
Slows here as well, but the bubble lands in. They're going to try and get the angle, but Bugax correctly blocks for his teammate.
And this is a disaster. I mean, defending the Rift Herald in the way they did just meant that Big Horo and Null has been able to siege down this turret. They've taken 4 plates off it. And, you know, we said the use of the Rift Herald to break open mid lane could be important. Well, how about just breaking it open without the Rift Herald even being threatened pastry time? Just a bit of a misstep, I think, right now from Isurus Gaming. And that means that they're going to look to potentially go into their 1-3-1, you know, try and throw Warangalus and slow mid lane, use that global ultimate of the Galio to impact the map. But when you're already 5,000 gold down, I think it's too late.
It might be, and the Rift Herald will also be the next prize for Fengwu Buffalo, who don't really need to slow down after taking the mid outer turret. They did get 5 plates in mid. Yes, the plating has now dropped off, so the Rift Herald won't be able to collect any more, but that top outer turret looking like a pretty good target for this quick channel. We'll see if they do want to go for it now, or if they maybe just want to reset and spend some of that recently acquired gold.
And you can see once again that they're just keeping the pressure on. 4 members recalling on top side of the map. No one visible right now. However, they do go for the play.
Out though is going to put the door up and dash away after the Glacial Fissure. Back to Big Koro. TP coming in. They actually want to go for a Cataclysm down. Zeros TP through slow, getting poked down heavily, but no commitment there for Fengwu Buffalo.
Couple of resources expended, however, they do get the teleport out of Zeros, which is crucial. The reason they didn't want to look for that fight is Null just wasn't there at all. It's going to be a genuine 4v5, so they smartly back away. They kind of have, you know, multiple avenues of winning this game, so not looking for the high-risk plays. And, you know, even though they have 6 kills at only 15 minutes of the game, this is kind of the most calculated, slow we've seen Fengwu Buffalo play. And Isurus Gaming, for now, just letting the pace of the game kind of be dictated to them outside of that last play. You know, they did look for the teleport. But once again, they really do just need time here on their Akali, on their Rise to be able to threaten these side lanes. Oh, that's a misclick.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Bugax. Not where you want to be channeling it, but I think the question is, you know, do they have time? I mean, the lead is already massive here for
I'm going to say
Buffalo.
no.
I mean, that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to call a game before it's over and everything on the line for Isurus Gaming right now, but from what I've seen so far, this looks like one of those games where you're outclassed. You know, Oddie and Saya, we put the microscope on them to be able to dictate terms of the early game. Well, that certainly has not been the case. Meliodas and Null have done that easily. And now the fact that they're just rotating Big Coral and Pallet around the map and, you know, continuing to knock down structures against a team that has pretty limited wave clear does become a difficulty.
He's going for it. He just wants to defend the turret for now. Slow aftershock going to keep him very healthy, but that will buy time for at least another Rift Herald charge. They're still going. Fengwu Buffalo going to make it 2 turrets real quick here in the bot lane.
And once again, the lack of wave clear just means that this is very dangerous. Mid lane being pushed in, bottom lane all the way to the inhibitor turret. They have recalled 2 members, but that's an uneven trade if you've ever seen one.
I think that's kind of the state of the game at this point, looking very uneven. As we've talked about, Fengwu Buffalo, such a good team at applying pressure early, but I think it is nice to highlight that, yes, they are very talented players. Yes, they can play very aggressive League of Legends, but they don't need to just storm into your base and outplay you at every turn to get a lead. They can play a bit more of a calmer for them style of League of Legends and still come out looking very impressive.
And I mean, you have a look at the areas of Summoner's Rift they're being able to control. First and second drag, they're able to pick up Rift Herald. You know, they're able to get the first turret for themselves as well. And all of that just generated off, you know, what is pretty good vision in the early game and access to the river. Zeros now potentially in some trouble.
Does flash, very respectful there from Kennen. Burns the proto belt as well, but is out safely. Here's Oddie looking for attempt number 2.
That is, however, against kind of the flow of the game, having to burn key summoner spells in an area where potentially you're looking to team fight within the next 5 minutes. You know, things like Baron coming up could be a crucial factor here. It is little and, you know, probably ultimately isn't going to cost them this game, but an area that you'd like to see Zeros clean up, you know, when 4 members are showing on bottom lane, can't really have that happen. And Bugax will get access to a turret for it, but once again, you know, you're looking at this current state of the game and even things like scaling taken into effect. I don't really feel like Fengwu are on a clock here. I feel like they can play this one out pretty standard, pretty methodically, and not run into too many problems. It becomes, you know, the creativity of Isurus Gaming, maybe at using the Rise ult to also get Saya into a lane, you know, try and take down Zeros now that that flash has been blown. Because otherwise, you know, in a 1v1 situation, I just don't see either of these side laners being able to bully hard enough to get the map control they need.
Yeah, I think something like Galio using his ulti, although again it is Hongwu Buffalo that are at least starting this little play. Orangulus will back up to the turret.
And they've got 2 minutes to use the Galio bottom lane, like as aggressively as they want, right? However, as soon as Baron is up available, Meliodas is tanky enough. You know, you've already got yourself the Blade of the Rune King going into Ginsu's for the Varus. They're going to be able to shred through it quickly. So you don't want to spend too many resources bottom lane. That's why I think it's like, you know, when Bugax's TP is back up and available, probably get Saya down there, maybe get Oddie down there, use one of those champions to try and open up the map. But you can see Zeros, once again, just respectfully goes, takes himself a Rift Scuttler, gets his weak side wards to make sure no rotation is there. This is a guy that understands his role in the split push, and instead they're going to look for the strong area in kind of big Coral and Pallet one more time. It looks like Oddie up here for another game.
Yeah, the other duo lane, it feels like Meliodas and Null back to their old tricks here in top lane. Slow will get tagged by Winter's Bite, but no aggression under the turret or anything like that for now. Again, Hongwu Buffalo happy to just play things out nice and steadily, given how much of an advantage they've already built for themselves.
And you can see kind of how concerned they are about this topside control. And once again, Zeros just backs away from his turret, lets it go down, but there's no way that Oddie and Saya can ever rotate the top lane quick enough. Pushing in even deeper now, trying to just deny that vision, and potentially now, I mean, moving back towards mid lane, that's a little bit strange to me because they did spend so much of their time investing in this control. Potentially, once again, just looking to extend that ward line into the forest of Isurus Gaming.
You can see Meliodas going to take away the Wolf Camp. Big sweeps there with the lenses through the jungle to make sure all the wards are gone. And Big Koro also fancying himself some sort of tussle dive onto the slow here, started by the Jarvan. There's a knockup there from the Justice Punch. It's 4 now for PVB. Beautiful Orangulus. Good knockback there, but I think that's not enough. Gonna have to cut back towards the bubble. Almost gets the last crit for the kill, but it will go over to the Varus.
And once again, just the patient play leads to an advantage for Hongwu Buffalo. They're able to get the teleport out of the top laner at the same time, which is crucial. Zeros is not available and they still win the trade. Now Saya, once again, tries to get access to the river. He's in trouble.
So late to the play here. He's got his jungler behind him, but it's 3 already for PVB, roaming in with Zeros shortly on the right side flank. The Cataclysm starts. The Galio ult will protect him. Meliodas are going to stay around for a little while longer. They want a kill here if they can grab it. Again, another good knock-up. Zeros there with the ulti, channeling the Maelstrom, and Oddie going to go down to Null. Saya also incredibly low as Hongwu Buffalo can do no wrong.
And time again, they are just reading the state of the map better. Saya feels like he must help his team, but it's a 1-for-2 ult trade. And you just cannot go that way to the top lane fight. When a team has spent so long, actually, top lane.
Hanging out in the brush, he shouldn't have been in. There's yet another kill for the Buffalo.
That's what I was going to say. When the team has spent that long controlling your topside jungle, you either have to go back through your lane or just see pressure to the tier 2. You cannot contest these objectives, and ultimately, it might cost them a Baron.
21-minute Baron now being started for Hongwu Buffalo. And it looks like with Oddie coming back off the respawn and going the wrong lane for now. Saya and Slow will see what's happening. There's also a ward on top of the shrine, but that's going to be bound by the looks of things over to PVB. Jungle are so far away that at that point, Isurus, I think, just said we have to give this up.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, now it gets out towards an 8,000 gold lead, and there's not all that many positives to look towards. You can say that Tristana getting towards 3 items has the potential to carry a late-game team fight, you know, draw a beat, passive, all the positives we always talk about towards the scaling. But then you just see the threat that she's going to be under. You know, this Jarvan's so fed, and Orangulus kind of starts this off by extending for farm. He feels safe because he has slowdown here, but once again, 4 members being able to rotate quicker. Oddie looking for the play onto the cannon. That's why it's so dangerous. They have to teleport away from there. And kind of the real disappointing thing for this is, you know, that's an adequate trade. You don't like it, but only one person going down is acceptable. Saya's rotation into the river kind of was just a silly play. It burns 2 ultimates. Now the threat of the Akali is gone without the R going to be available. And Zeros and Meliodas just time the CC and knockups very well.
Oh, another good chain of CC onto Oddie, who tried to get something started with his ultimate. You have to think the Q not quite enough, but it's close. As Meliodas looking to keep the play alive onto Slow, gets the next tap. Cataclysm, there's the stun from concussive blows and the Realm of channel, but it's far too late as Bugax will get out, but he's not so lucky for his support.
Yeah, and that's going to be another bubble landing. Saya has to cleanse Peishu when you're losing 2v5. when the 80 carry and support are just able to stand and deliver, the game's gone to hell. Now they, however, go into
Zeros looking for his own 1v2, gets the first play of the ult, not enough for the execute, as Bugak's now going to keep chasing down. Lightning Rush going to get him out, and that's enough. Bugax can't find him, and that's the inhibitor cracked in mid as well.
And frustration on the face of the top laner of Isurus Gaming. This game nearly might be done. They're going to continue their push.
I mean, why not? They've just snowballed so well here. Have the Fongbu Buffalo. Might as well try and chip down this Nexus turret on the left side. Not looking so healthy. Big Koro with enough arrows to almost take it down. The Baron Up minions also helping out. They'll get one turret. They will have to back away, but so much damage has been done.
Yeah, obviously taking issue with the fact that they lost their perfect group stage in this play-ins, you know, going back to performing very well in front of this hometown crowd. Really, across the board, there has been one death. This has been a complete shutout. 7 turrets to 2, 11,000 gold 24 minutes in. And you have to say that this has been, you know, not the fiery, aggressive Fongbu Buffalo, but a little bit more of that cold, calculated killer coming out, and it's been equally as scary.
And again, we talk about this player here, Zeros, whose stats have been so good, both here after their first day of play, but especially domestically. He is the big superstar. For him to be able to play weak side and be a little bit more calm and calculated, just say, okay, I have to give this up there. So great to see in these young, talented players that they can also, you know, do the smart thing as well.
Yeah, and once again, in games where there's lots of team fights, it's very easy to point out the carries, but it's just been, to me, Meliodas and Pallet's performance. You know, Meliodas kicking it off now, teaming up with Pallet every single time they want to go for an objective. They make sure they have control, they make sure they have vision, and they're always there in superior numbers. That's another bubble going to be landing.
Straight through the terrain, Nor gonna look for a one shot. There's gonna be helped out by Meliodas. The taunt lands, but Zeros with a great flank TP is gonna move in. The buster shot not enough to really get him out of the fight. Zeros though is going to fall. Finally dies, but I think it's far too late. Meli gonna dive back in, pumps the stopwatch to keep himself alive for a little while longer. With Rango's gonna get chased down by Nor with arrows coming in. Does juke the next one, so Isurus gonna get run out of their base. The bad news is they need to defend their Nexus.
They certainly do, Pastry. There is a super creep still there. They can potentially take this turret.
Bugax here, ready for the wave. Clear turret is dead. Nexus is open. But Seiya is back. No ulti, no summoners for the Akali. Fongbu Buffalo just going to take the easy turret here instead.
Yeah, and once again, some control being exerted by the Buffalo. You know, the game pretty much over now. 12,000 gold, however, still playing towards the percentages with the fountain there, with the access to Oddie before Zeros going to be up and available. Let's just take the second portion of the base broken. Baron up in a minute 45. We can split push down there. Look to play 2 lanes or 2 portions of the map once again and close this one out cleanly. Once again, it's just been such an impressive performance, you know, 2 kills only. And that kind of gave us an insight of how these teams wanted to play the team fights, you know, knocking the Kennen out, being able to hold him at arm's length, but just the threat from multiple members. So once again, this starts very nicely. However, the fact that the taunt goes through and has the aftershock means it slows very tanky. That's what I'm talking about. The empowered route into the buster shot means that Zeros kind of stuck in no man's land for a little bit of this fight. Problem is when Meliodas is this tanky, this fed, able to lock down 3 members and just shut the rest of the team out of the fight, the zone control of the Kennen whilst Knight is no longer necessary to find success. So, you know, finally Isurus Gaming's kind of showing what it's designed to do in this kind of situation. Better 1-3-1 avenues into the team fight with the threat of the Akali, with the threat of the Rise, but certainly has not seemed that way throughout the course of this game.
Basically the first team fight they had access to. Zeros though, he's taking time to read leisurely through his Magi as he's empowered and snared by the Rise and the rest of the CC. Another good bubble lands though was Null. Just creating so many problems here. Tower gonna fall down. I mean, when you don't have map control, Zoe is so oppressive to play against.
Yeah, and once again, it's just the fact that Meliodas and Pallet always there first, always looking for the setup. And Null just being able to play kind of very free League of Legends on Zoe. And as you said, when it is played this way, makes the champion look strong. They go for another fight.
Good Cataclysm going to bind up 2 into the arena. Pallet there with the ulti, but a nice stopwatch there from Oddie as Galio going to charge in as well. Bugax on the other side. Is he going to try and start something here? Meliodas low, but it does have the GA as Zeros just going to wipe the rest of the team fight with the ulti as the slashing Maelstrom forces 1 death. 4 up still now for Isurus, and PVB unfortunately still kind of healthy as Bugak. He's trying to find the flank, but now is forced to flush away.
Yeah, they just can't do anything here. That's a gold lead teamfight if I've ever seen one. 5-man taunt from Slow, trying to play the hero. However, does fall down, and that means it's a 5v4 open Nexus.
Yep, looking to continue the strength here as the Nexus is indeed open. Isurus fighting for their tournament lives as they try and get PVB out of their base, but they will not be sent packing. They're just going to take down the rest of the squad. They'll get the kill on the Bugax. They'll collect 3, and they'll collect the Nexus at the end of it all as well. Fongbu Buffalo back to fighting form in just a few moments.
Yeah, exactly right. Kind of a little bit of an inhibitor respawn troll. However, with 30 seconds still on death timers, this should be it.
All right, just a little interlude there before the finale, and Fongbu Buffalo have made it look good all game long.
And just put the rest of Group A on notice, right? You know, we showed signs of mortality in play-ins. However, that is not going to be the case. Such an emphatic victory for the Buffalo, and, you know, top to bottom, impressive performances. You know, 1 kill for Zeros, 1 death for Zeros, 1 death for Big Koro, but pretty much flawless play everywhere else.
I mean, for a team that we imagine to be so explosive, certainly more solid than stylish this go around, but impressive nonetheless from the Fongbu Buffalo, who look to cement their place as the best team in the play-in stage, not just in this group. They'll take it at this point, and as you said, probably